Hey, what's up? Good morning. We have paint.net open, and we're gonna make a kind of like self therapizing, self reflection type video to try to help me organize some thoughts and kind of go through a thought exercise I've come up with. See if it yields any interesting results, and maybe the value for you folks at home is that you could try such an exercise and see what it yields for you. But basically, my therapist is on mat leave, and this is the sort of thing I would typically talk about with her. So instead, we're just gonna try to like ping pong it off the wall and see if we can get anywhere with this exercise. So this came about because I've been thinking about my life in general, as one does, and if this is time and this is happiness, I've had ups and downs, and we've been pretty all over the map, I'd say. But in the last 3 years, since I moved to Toronto and started dating my boyfriend, we've been like hitting unforeseen highs. And in that period, even though there's still ups and downs and stuff, things have been pretty steady. We've been able to maintain, for the first time in my life, a lifestyle where every day I wake up and I just kind of wish it would continue. Like, I don't want anything to change majorly. Whereas in pretty much all other times in my life, even times where I was doing like pretty good, I still was kind of awaiting some still significant lifestyle change, some significant direction to emerge in my life. And now that's kind of happened. Like, I finally got the lifestyle that I want. At the same time, though, like, thinking about this kind of plateauing and picturing that things are going to be pretty much the same as this in like 5 years, I had a feeling of, I don't know, not necessarily dissatisfaction. Like, I would still be this happy, but I felt like there's kind of a double edged sword when you feel very content with your lifestyle, which is that it is hard to change. And if there's certain things that are unsustainable, certain things that you want to accomplish that you're not currently in the process of doing, it feels kind of unlikely that they're going to happen, because what's going to really spur you to make that change? So I started thinking about like what is in my life. Well, I expected this canvas to be much bigger. Let's resize down to like 10% of this. And then let's change the canvas size to be back where we were at, because I think I just made my brush size and stuff too big, and we actually have plenty of space. Yeah, this is fine. Okay. So it's not like I want any sort of radical change. I don't want to like move. I don't want to necessarily like switch careers. I want to be like hanging out with pretty much the same people and stuff. But I do think there's like some refinement I can make to my priorities such that I feel more on the path to accomplishing things that I want to accomplish long term. But it can't just be like additive either. Like, I recognize that I'm already operating on a pretty high capacity in terms of how I spend my days, how I fill my time. So I started kind of like mentally thinking through, okay, like, where am I spending like effort? Not necessarily just how much time I spend on something, although that is a component. Not how stressful something is, although maybe that's a component. Not how much I think about it, but that's a component. But some kind of amalgamation of this and more. Of just kind of like, if we look at my brain, this is a brain, this is the other lobe. Like, how would I break down in a pie graph proportionally how much I'm giving to all these different aspects of my life? And I started thinking of these as like life stats. And this is the exercise that we're going to be going through, is really thinking about, for these areas, how much am I putting into each of them? And then is there like a reallocation? like in an RPG, can I re-roll some of this distribution, and in doing so, feel a little more confident in certain things, I guess. So the life stats we're going to be working with. Work, relationship, hobbies, activities, maintenance. I can never remember how to spell that word. I think it should always be maintenance, but no, I think it's this. Or maybe it's not even that, whatever. And then vice. So we're just gonna go through each of these, and I'm gonna try to like articulate where I think I'm at with each of them. Ooh, we forgot about vice. Can't forget about vice. And then kind of talk about, okay, well, what would it look like if I put more or less into each of these? So let's talk about work first. That's a pretty simple one. So currently, I like my job. Overall, I'm very happy with it. Like my coworkers. I find it pretty easy. And this is what's key. Because again, this is a discussion of not how satisfied I am with something or how happy I am with it or how much pleasure it gives me, but how much effort I'm putting into it. So I'd say it's like very easy and very, very flexible. I work fully remotely, and outside of meetings, my time is pretty much my own. As long as I'm getting things done when they're expected to be done, there's no, pop quizzes, there's no Slack idle checking. If I want to take a long lunch, if I want to run errands during the workday, I'm totally at liberty to do so. If my work takes an hour, then I don't have to do anything else, I feel very, very, very accommodated in that regard, which is fantastic. On the other hand, my work, I take no pride in it. I work in marketing. I think I'm quite good at marketing. I think I have the skill set, especially for this kind of B2B marketing, to kind of just lap a lot of the other people's attempts at articulation or messaging or whatever. It's the kind of stuff I'm very, very good at, and I think this is sort of a niche where my own level of skill is relatively quite high. So I'm praised for my work a lot. I'm considered very high performing. I'm good at it. Whoa. Can't type, though. But I really don't take any pride in it. I don't think I'm doing anything that's, like, good for society. I don't think I'm doing anything that's particularly interesting or good in terms of just being impressive or whatever. I wouldn't say it's, like, challenging me to increase my skills beyond just sort of like a broad marketing organizational skill that I don't really enjoy having. I never really wanted to work in marketing. No social benefit. And then there's certain directions that my company might go that I really strongly morally object to. It's unclear whether or not we'll end up going down that pathway. But if we did, I would basically be forced to quit and immediately start desperately trying to find anything else. So some moral dread. But overall, I really don't put too much into work, which I think is great. That's the way I want it. I like this idea that work is occupying a pretty small sliver of my brain, and that when I'm not in the process of doing it, I can very easily shut it out and do other things that I enjoy. And, despite that, I am still getting paid a salary that is totally sufficient to fund the lifestyle that I like to live. I am not really wanting for anything financially. Of course, more money would be good, but, it's not an immediate need or anything like that. all things considered, we're going to give 2 stars for work. And the star ratings here don't really mean anything on their own, but it's just sort of like relatively comparing how much I'm putting into each of these stats. And work gets a 2. So let's think about if I went up. No, first let's talk about, okay, so I could probably still go down. Like slack off. Slack off even more, have even more time and energy to do what I want. Put this down to 1 star essentially. I could probably get away with it. Even though I take a lot of like flexibility and I honestly kind of just work at my convenience, I still am a pretty high performer, and I think if I started aiming instead to just kind of do the bare minimum, I probably could get away with it. But there's some stress associated with that. Basically, like, you know, if I do feel ever like I'm slacking off more than I ought to, I start to get worried that it will come back and bite me. Somebody will call me out for not making as much progress on something as I could have. Something will make me feel like my job security is at risk. Whether or not these things are actually founded, typically they're not, is sort of secondary. But that stress is enough that I feel like it isn't worth it. That any time I would gain, any energy I would gain by like really aiming for the bare minimum, unless I was like putting it into something that really, really mattered to me, I don't think it would compensate for the stress of feeling like I was putting my job in peril, which is obviously something I don't want. More interesting, though, is the prospect of putting more effort into the job. And this could look like grinding harder at my current company. Which, I don't know, like, I kind of got screwed out of a promotion earlier this year. It's a long story, but it kind of instilled in me this idea that this company is not going to reward me for going any further above and beyond. I don't have equity in my company currently. That's something else that they've been kind of dangling like a carrot over top of me. I don't think really much good would come of it in terms of advancing my career at this current place. I think there isn't really anywhere I can advance my career in this current place. Hoping they prove me wrong, but we'll see. But even if there was, I don't think grinding harder is necessary to get there. I think it might help, but it might not. So, like, what's the point? I think really the level that I'm currently operating at is probably sufficient, and it's more a question of how the company like grows and expands, whether or not I'll get advancement. So this is like not super enticing. There is an argument to be made like, oh, it's good because it'll like build my resume and then I'll be able to transfer jobs better. But I think I'm actually already at a point where I ought to be qualified for a higher position or a better paid equivalent position at another company. So really it's more about like grinding harder at the job search. Which I am like looking, but I'm doing kind of like the bare minimum of looking, where I just kind of send out applications whenever I see something good, but I don't put a ton of work into the applications, and I haven't really built up like the job search regimen that I think these days is like pretty essential to getting anywhere, which, you know, involves like very targeted searching, very repeated efforts, very streamlined process, reaching out through all sorts of contacts and stuff to try to establish a recommendation and stuff like that. I haven't really shifted gears into that mode yet, but if I was to put more effort into the job aspect of my life, I think that's probably where it would go. Another thing to consider here is a career change. So, like I said, not really like happy with the idea of marketing outside of the fact that it's just easy and I don't hate the actual work itself. But if I could do something else that I actually found like interesting, that I actually took some pride in, and get paid the same amount, I would leap at it, even though that it would almost necessarily involve more effort being put into the work function. I think that would be worth it if it was genuinely something that I was taking pride in. What that is, I don't really know. I've been totally disenfranchised with the idea of academia over the last few years, and there's no money in that at all. The idea of doing marketing for like a company that I actually like, or some foundation or nonprofit or something that I actually like, has some appeal, but it's like a mixed bag, because at the end of the day, I just think the marketing function is like not really that interesting or compelling or like a good use of my skill and effort compared to like what is being marketed, if that makes sense. But I don't know. I think about this pretty often. So like, so the pros would be like potentially more meaning and satisfaction, and then also potentially more money. You know, the whole point of like job hopping here would be to try to get more money. And the cons, of course, would be like more stress, less flexibility, more time taken away from other stuff. So I don't know. This is one that feels like it could move, though. This is one where the current star rating of 2, I think we could potentially go up. Like what I'm gonna do is go through all these categories and do this kind of breakdown of where I'm at and where I could think it could go, and then at the end we're gonna do like a more exhaustive search of the possibility space of where we could spread out these efforts. All right, now let's talk about relationship. And this is all a question of how much like effort, for lack of a better word, I am putting into these different areas of life. And effort, I think, really does lack a better word here. Because, you know, we like to think that we love so effortlessly. It's a little tiff joke for you tiffers. And yeah, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like effort. You know, it's something that springs from my heart spontaneously, the love I have for my boyfriend and my desire to spend time with him and to build our lives together. But I do have to acknowledge that it does take up time in my day. It does take up room in my brain. It does take up energy that could be used for other things. And so I need to acknowledge it, like, on this same tier of, like, other big parts of my life. So, you know, currently, we've been together for 3 years. We're very committed to each other. I sure hope. That's how it feels from my end. Stuff we do together is, like, spend a lot of time together. Do activities together. Oh my god, I can't spell. When I was thinking through this video, this is not an aspect I considered. That this program has no spell check, and I'm very used to typing with a spell check. That's not right either. Activities. There's no other A? Crazy. They're involved in each other's family life. Mutual friends. Supporting each other emotionally, helping each other with stuff. I don't know. It's like all the normal stuff, but what I want to emphasize here, that like this is a lot, but not like raising kids together, meaningful cohabitation. Guiding each other through major crisis. You know, like, I'm planning huge projects, e.g. wedding, house. There's aspects to relationships that we're, like, not currently doing, is kind of what I want to emphasize here. That this is, like, we're doing all of these to, like, a very full extent, I think. But there's major things that end up being a part of different people's relationships that currently aren't on our plate. Now, I'm not opposed to any of these things, you know. Some of them are more or less likely to happen. It's not, though, like, something that can happen overnight. It's not something that I'm going to start doing as the result of this silly video, obviously. So right now, I'd say it's like 3. Cause yeah, like, that was bound to happen eventually too. Right now, we see each other a lot. We spend a lot of time together. We spend a lot of quality time together. Oh my gosh. We're off by literally 1 pixel. But we don't need that much from one another. Like, in terms of these things that I think, like, raising kids together just instantly ratchets this up to 5 stars. Buying a house together and probably doing, like, renovations and stuff, and then the ongoing responsibility of, like, true cohabitation. Like, we spend a lot of time at each other's places, but it's different, I think, actually living together and thus having to, like, balance chores and various house upkeep and stuff. That's not on the plate right now. So it's, like, very easily in the future, well, I shouldn't say very easily, but very plausibly in the future, this will just get ratcheted up to 5 stars, you know, and there, like, needs to be space for that. So the prospect of, like, going down, I'm just gonna say, like, no. I really have no desire to spend less time with him, to disentangle our lives to any extent, to not have this level of, like, intimacy and mutual support. I don't really see any reason why it would ever go down, and then up, maybe. Depending on how various things shake out, you know, we don't know what our life holds for us exactly, but I think there kind of needs to be, like, room that in the future, were any of these things to become a priority, they would certainly need to be a priority above all sorts of other stuff going on. Okay, that's relationship. Pretty straightforward. Next, let's talk about hobbies. So, I have a lot of hobbies. If you go to my YouTube page and, like, search within the channel for hobbies, you can see last year I made the all hobbies wrap up video where I went through everything in my life that I would consider a hobby and rated how much satisfaction I was getting out of it and how much love I was putting into it. Actually, it's not really clear what that rating was. I think that rating kind of meant a whole bunch of different things. And that's something that's been kind of confusing me, and this was one of the big motivators for this project, was lately I felt a little dissatisfied with my overall kind of, like, roster of hobbies. And what I recognized is that I just simply do not have time to do all the stuff that interests me. Not even close. Even if I was unemployed, even if all of these other areas were zeros and everything was being put into hobbies, I still wouldn't have time to do all of the hobbies that interested me to a level that I found fulfilling. So I started trying to figure out, like, how do I try to get the most from the time and energy I can put into hobbies? How can I make my effort, like, maximally rewarding? And so I started trying to come up with, like, different breakdowns of, like, taxonomies of my hobbies to try to figure out, how could I get, like, the broadest spread possible without redundancies. I was working on this sort of thing for a while, like, this would be like video games, this could be like anime manga related, this could be, and then there's like connection branches, this is like making videos about manga or whatever. I was like trying to figure out stuff like this to see if that yielded anything interesting. And then I was trying to come up with all sorts of ways of just kind of charting my hobbies on different axes. Potential axes being like, how much time does it take? Is it social or alone? How much does it help other people? How much pleasure do I get from it? How much money does it cost? What else? How much money could it make? How much can I fit it in my other tasks? Like, is it something that I can do on the side at work? Like, reading manga during meetings, just hypothetically. Not that anyone would do that. And then I think for the purposes of this video, at least, the one that I'm most interested in exploring is a chart of how much satisfaction I get from something. From just kind of completing the hobby, completing a session of the hobby, feeling like I'm making some sort of progress in the hobby, whatever. And then on the other side, how much effort I need to put into the hobby to reach that point. Now, as you would hope, there's like a line of best fit here, where most of the stuff falls on this like 45-degree line, where effort and satisfaction are pretty related. I would say if I really map out most of my hobbies, they fall somewhere along this line of best fit. However, there are also some outliers that take very disproportionately low effort for the amount of satisfaction they give me. Now, actually, this isn't quite accurate, because I would say these outliers are bounded not as far as maximum satisfaction. Like, they go up to this line. This region right here is the region that we kind of want to talk about. I have noticed that the time I spend on hobbies is more and more trending to these sorts of outliers. That I have kind of taken this whole kind of like two-dimensional slope and done gradient descent subconsciously, just sort of through my own subtle choices time and time again. I have been trending down into this region. And this, again, isn't how much time I'm spending on it. A lot of these are actually very time-consuming, which is, I think, part of the reason they feel so satisfying, is that I can quite easily spend an entire afternoon working on them and get the satisfaction of a day's work, or whatever you want to call it, like the satisfaction of really having plugged in and worked on it for quite a while, without it ever actually really being challenging. Without it ever actually, like, pushing me into uncomfortable areas. Things that I can kind of, like, repeat the motions of iterate through and get, genuine satisfaction. Like, this part of the chart isn't a lie. It isn't like it's like fake satisfaction, but I am genuinely getting some satisfaction out of it that motivates me to just kind of keep returning to the well. And the problem is that this isn't maximum satisfaction, though. This chart extends way up in this direction, you know? And it's like, I want to make it to the stuff here. I want to push myself to go all the way into the far extremes of the satisfaction graph. But I can't, because I'm kind of like stuck in this local maxima of things that are providing me sufficient satisfaction and are quite easy. No, we're gonna get reminded tomorrow. So, to speak kind of more concretely, down here is stuff like making One Piece reaction videos. Easy. I do it every Sunday, and it takes like half an hour, and it's so much fun, and I feel great, and it feels great to be building up a library of like hundreds of these reaction videos that now you can see me react to like 10 years worth of One Piece now or something, which is cool to me. Making like the overall Jump video, and just this hobby of like reading Jump and studying Jump. I really, really enjoy it, but it's not hard because it's like manga for kids. And I think I give good analysis, and it's like satisfying to give good analysis, and satisfying to kind of follow the trends and feel expert and be able to make predictions and stuff. But it's not hard. It's not hard. I can do that really without straining my intellect very much at all. I've noticed that like I can almost map similar hobbies down into this region, and then it's like the one down in this region is always going to be kind of more appealing to me. Like, for a long time, I had a hard time reading like actual fiction books. Not that I had a hard time reading the books themselves, but just reading manga was that much easier. It was that much more fun. And because I could read that much more of it within like a certain, given time span or a given chunk of effort, it was more satisfying. It was more bang for my buck, so to speak. And so, yeah, it's like keeps trending down. But like up here is stuff like, writing fiction again, which I haven't done in years and years and years. Making music, making a video game. Things that I sometimes dabble in, but I don't really push myself to go that far. Because again, like the hobby of listening to music, say, or instead of trying to write a movie, watch a movie, still gives me quite a bit of satisfaction for disproportionately low effort. Like lately I've been very, very good about studying kanji every day. I have a spaced repetition app that basically quizzes me for about 10-15 minutes every day. And I've been able to do that every day for almost a year now, which I'm very proud of, and I do get a lot of satisfaction from. But again, it's like a local maxima. I should be pushing myself to like read Japanese manga and really test these skills and exert myself. I should be signing up for Japanese classes. I should be doing grammar exercises. I should be challenging N3, I think, at this point. But it's a lot easier to just do the spaced repetition exercise every day and be like, sweet, I'm making progress. And it's not like I'm not making progress, but I'm not going for the upper echelon. Like, up here is like Japanese fluency, like actually being able to read stuff in the original smoothly and competently and without having to look up stuff every single speech bubble. That's what I really want to get to. But if I just sort of wallow in this local maxima, it's just like not gonna happen, and I think this, more than anything, is where I feel dissatisfied, where I feel like looking out at this sort of plateauing lifestyle, I'm like, there needs to be a change. And I think more than anything, this exercise is about how can I push more into hobbies? Where can I take away to push more into hobbies? Because right now, I would put it at 3. But it's like, I really do, like, deep down, I still really want to make like really great, amazing things. I want to write something brilliant. I want to like make a video game that is like the dream game that I want to play. Like I want to do stuff like that. I want to get all of the music that I create in my head passively throughout the day. I want to gain the skills to somehow translate that into something real. I want to get like legit good at various things that I do, you know? Like I sing with a choir. I think I'm pretty good, but there's dudes in that choir that are like way better than me. And it's like, how do I get there? Like, how do I actually push myself and get there? So this one, you know, it's like, I don't really want to go down unless this exercise reveals that there is some great need to reallocate this effort elsewhere. The other thing too is that maybe the day will come where I do need to desperately reallocate this effort elsewhere. Oops, I somehow changed this color. That's a paint.net quirk that if you don't reselect your paint bucket and you change your color, it'll go back and change your previous paint bucket. Anyways, yeah, the day may come where I need to put in way more into work or relationship or whatever, and then I'll need to draw from the well of hobbies. But right now, it's not like that. Right now, I feel like I am capable of pushing hobbies even further and doing something, you know, truly remarkable. So I don't know, I want to. So yes. And it's tough. Like, I don't really know what this means in practice. Because, like, I really don't want to give up any of the hobbies that I currently have. Like the stuff that I do by routine, making YouTube videos, doing my kanji practice, I still get so much satisfaction out of those, and I think it would really disappoint me if I had to lose them. So it's like, how do I make this purely additive without the new things I add just also falling into this category, which I think is what's going to happen. I also want to highlight, I meant to do this earlier, this dot right here, which is lowest on effort, but extremely high on satisfaction, is the most dangerous one of all, and its name is collecting. And that one is dangerous, not because it takes up a lot of time, although it kind of does. It's because it costs a lot of money. Money is the thing that has been minimized on that one. If we're looking at the full n-dimensional spectrum, this one has truly min-maxed money, while being very, very satisfying and being very, very low effort. You just click, 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 and it shows up at your door. You just go to the store, go, ooh, I'll take that. Ooh, I'll take that. This is a truly, truly cursed hobby. This one is a force to be reckoned with for those of you with disposable income and the same type of autism as me. Watch the fuck out for this one. So yeah, I don't know, like, but I don't want to stop collecting either. I just want more money so I can collect more and make it more financially responsible to collect as much as I currently am. It's like, I just want everything to be additive here. I just want to do more. I don't want to do less. I don't want to reallocate. So yeah, it's like, if I'm going to start really trying to challenge the hobbies up in this quadrant, which is like the goal quadrant. This is the comfortable quadrant down here. This is the goal quadrant up here. This is like the valley of neglect, but that's fine. There may also be like hypothetical hobbies up here, but I don't know what they would be. And I think they would be quickly abandoned. This is maybe where like weightlifting as a hobby would go. So yeah, it's like, how do I really try to carve out space and energy in my life to get up into this zone? And I don't know really how to do it. I think even if I was unemployed, I would probably just keep adding dots to this area, and I wouldn't be able to push myself to go into this area very well. I in the past, I have done much more ambitious artistic projects, you know, like I've written novels and stuff, but first off, it's not like I pushed those novels beyond the bare minimum. Like, I wrote something that's the length of a novel, and then I like edited it to whatever extent, but I didn't try to get it published. I didn't share it too broadly. It was more just that I was like, I had hypergraphia, and that I was manic, and all I wanted to do was write. And that's not a viable solution. So even then, I was taking kind of like a minimized local of the novel writing hobby, of just getting down like 80,000 words or whatever it turned out to be, and not, again, pushing it into this upper echelon of like the satisfaction of not just writing something, but taking it as far as it could go, making it as good as possible, and then pushing it out into the world as far as I could. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to what I think is kind of like the twin of hobbies, which is activities. Yahoo! Activities, we'll start with the rating right off the jump. Because right now it doesn't seem like I do much. But activities is 5 stars. For sure. Can't draw. That was a good one. That was a good one. Sort of. That was a decent one. That was... Well, this isn't a star drawing exercise. That also goes up here. Art. Visual art. Visual art used to have a component that was down here, but now it's up here. Oops. I don't know why this made me think of it, but I need to check my messenger messages. Yes. Okay, we may need to pause. But we'll see. Getting a Pokemon card delivery from a friend of mine who has a Costco membership and very kindly was able to get some very in-demand Costco Pokemon cards for me. He. So look forward to seeing that on the channel, because the collection addiction, it never ends. It never ends. Okay, in half an hour, I'm going to set a timer on my phone. Okay, so activities, yes, 5 star. And feel very blessed. Currently, I am invited to many things. Active in many scenes. Dinner, parties, parties, hangs, movies, restaurants, lunches, events. I don't know, it goes on and on and on. And the line between this and hobbies is kind of blurred as well. Like, if you look at my all hobby wrap-up video, which I want to make another one of, because already that one is, like, not complete. There's even more hobbies I thought of later that should have been included. I'd say the dividing line here is that this generally involves, like, other people, whereas this is generally, like, solo endeavors. And it's like, I would count watching movies as a hobby, like watching them, making reviews on Letterboxd, thinking about my taste in movies, making lists of movies and videos about movies, exploring and stuff movies. That's a hobby. But actually going to the theater with my friends is an activity. Does that make sense? That to me is like where the breakdown is. But yeah, I live in a big city and I pay a lot of money to live in a big city, and I fully want to take advantage of that. So I really am like 5 stars on this for sure. I think, you know, like it could go up though. There's always more to do. There's all sorts of like social aspects of hobbies that I have that I could get into. There's all sorts of groups and classes and stuff that I'd like to be able to join if I had time. Like Moreover, I'm a very passive activities planner, generally speaking. Um, I am very nicely the recipient, very happily the recipient, and often yes sayer to a lot of spontaneous invitations and stuff like that. But I do not really plan that many events myself. Most of the things that I initiate are motivated by like some sort of like opportunity or occasion or whatever. But I do kind of have like a fantasy of like, you know, in a larger living space, hosting board game nights or hosting uh, Magic the Gathering cube nights or whatever, or hosting dinner parties. You know, building space in my life to kind of return these favors in a sense. Um, but right now, I think I'm at my limit. I think it's like a really kind of like blessed situation where I have a lot of friends that have similar lifestyles to me, have similar flexibilities in their life to me, have similar interests to me, and we can do a lot of this stuff like really frequently and it's wonderful and it's great. Um but I don't expect that to last forever. You know, everybody else's life circumstances are changing too. I certainly hope that this is retained in some extent, but I recognize that like any ambitions I have to supplement this and to make this even more additive, like I want with my hobbies, I can probably just wait and time may open up to me. I don't know. I think it's just natural that your social groups sort of like shift and change, that the things you spend your time doing shift and change. You know, a year ago I was going to melee tournaments all the time. Nowadays I don't. It doesn't interest me that much. I've been going to P plus tournaments more, and I think my tastes will probably change again. So I don't really feel like an urge to like maximize. Oh, I gotta like really make sure I have time for this and this and this and this because it interests me. I think I'm happy to just kind of like let my life fluctuate in terms of activities and whatever my friends are up for, whatever is good in the city right now. We'll just kind of like head to where the fruit is, you know. We'll do stuff as it is in season and not just kind of want everything at once. And that to me is different than hobbies because activities, in my mind at least, are pretty much like all equally difficult, you know. Whereas hobbies, it's like all up to me. I have to really choose how to allocate my time. With activities, it's like, oh, you want to go see a movie? Oh, you want to go see a play? Oh, you want to go to a sports game? Oh, you want to go out for dinner? They cost different amounts of money, but aside from that, you kind of just show up and just let it rock, you know? Um, oh, there's so many. Yeah, there's like sports games, concerts, plays, galleries. There's so I'm doing so much. Like I really am like so blessed in this regard. It truly is like I couldn't imagine a better arrangement just in terms of like what I like to do and what is available to me. Like it's so beautifully coinciding. But yeah, I think so. It's like I don't really want to mess with this because I think it doesn't need to be purely additive. It's not like I need to strain myself to do harder activities or whatever. Um, and moreover, like I'm a very extroverted person. I get a lot from spending time with people. But I do have my limits as well. Like I can't do it 24/7. At a certain point, I need to be home to recharge and do other stuff. So I don't think this could go up to like 6 stars or something. I think I would burn out. I think I would stop enjoying things. I think I would start kind of like feeling resentful of the amount of stuff I'm trying to do. In terms of going down, it feels like there's room to reduce this. Insofar as it's at 5, I would probably still be very happy and feel socially fulfilled and feel like I'm really getting a lot out of the city if it was at 4. Or even if it was at 3. I don't know. But it's very, very hard to prioritize within this. Because, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't like the idea of having kind of like a hierarchy of who I want to spend time with. I don't really feel like I want to have a hierarchy of what type of events like matter more to me. It's more about like a diversity, I think, of just doing everything, of dipping my toes into everything. So I don't know, like, I don't really want to like try to come up with some regimen of saying no, of staying in on some percentage of nights or on some particular weeknights or something. I don't think that would really benefit me. I think I would probably suffer because, you know, I'm pretty susceptible to FOMO and the type of person that if I ever don't do something after, I'm just like, I should have just done it. I think I probably would have gotten something out of it. Yeah, I don't know. I think if I felt like I was deliberately trying to reduce my socializing time and my activities time to prioritize any of these other things, I think it would like put a lot of strain on these activities too. Like, if I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can't go out with my friends tonight because I really, really just want to focus on like writing. I'm not gonna write shit. I'm just gonna sit there and go like, oh my god, like I set aside the whole night to write and it's not happening. But I don't know. It's like I feel like if I'm really gonna write something, I kind of have to start setting aside time to do it. I have to like treat it very particularly and very focused. It's kind of like a lose-lose, man. I'm not really sure. So I don't really know what to do with this one. This one's tough. But this is one of the areas where there's like a lot of focus being put into it. Because, yeah, it's like... Like, a regimen is bad for the reasons mentioned. The hierarchies are bad. I mean, to an extent, I have to have them because I get double booked and stuff, and I have to figure out some sort of system of deciding where I want to spend my time. But I don't like encoding that. I don't like making that like a rule. I certainly don't like the idea of making that a rule with the goal of just lessening my activities or something, because then it's kind of like I'm making a ranking and then I'm chopping out the bottom. I'm like the Shonen Jump editors getting out the axe. I don't like that. So I don't know. I don't really know what to do. Don't know what to do with this. I think really it kind of just has to naturally fluctuate. Like I said, like it's very up right now. I think it's about as generative and intense as it could be, basically. Like living in a city where a lot of stuff is going on with a lot of different friend groups that like to do different things and all also have free time and disposable income. Is that gonna last forever? I don't know. I mean, it would be kind of sweet if it did, but I think like it's okay with me to kind of hedge my bets and look for the silver lining and say, okay, well, if that's not gonna last forever, then at least at some point I'm gonna get more free time. It's a win-win of sorts. Alright, let's move on to what order do I want to do these in? We got 2 left. Start with maintenance. So what do I mean by this? This is an inscrutable label that I came up with after thinking of a bunch of other ones. But this is like stuff I don't want to do. That is the biggest line divider between this and anything else. is that at its heart, it's stuff that I have to make myself do. I have to flex my executive agency for a great number of different reasons. It's just stuff that I don't enjoy. I don't really get any satisfaction out of. I don't consider it like a hobby. So this is stuff like diet. Right now, I eat pretty freely. I eat basically whatever I want all the time. It's very, very rare that I make concessions based on the healthiness of food or to reduce calories or whatever. If I want it, I eat it. I'm a huge glutton like that. Same with exercise. I have semi-successfully set up a regimen where I try to get 5K steps per day. And I succeed at that around 70% of the time, which isn't bad. It's not nothing, but that's what they call like zone zero exercise. I'm just walking from place to place. And usually I just accumulate 5K steps via activities, just by like going out and doing stuff most days. The prospect of like pushing beyond that, like going to the gym, doing other like workout type stuff, you know, trying to bump up my walking into like active walking to make it healthier, or walking just for the sake of walking. It's like stuff that I attempt in fits and starts, but it doesn't really get anywhere. Like, I can never kind of make it a habit. I can never get over the hump of not enjoying it. Other things I would include in here are like chores. My apartment, usually quite messy. Just a lot of things around the apartment I don't like doing. Dishes will sit in my sink for days on end. There's dishes in my sink right now. I'm a very like needs-based cleaner, where if say like my mom is visiting and I know she's gonna be really annoying about things that are unclean, I'll clean. If I need to like use the sink for something, I'll clean out the sink. Things like that. But I'm really bad at building up just like a consistent routine of chores. What other stuff would I put in here? I had more. I was thinking of more. I don't know. I think like saving. I spend money pretty freely too. If that's not obvious, on activities and hobbies and everything. So I think like trying to be more proactive in terms of financial investments and staying on top of my money and stuff. I do actually like track my spending, but that's more just like a fun hobby for me because I like to see the stats. And it's not like it actually has limited my spending at all or changed its direction. Trying to arrange a drop off with my friend. Okay, that's not for 20 minutes. Okay, easy peasy. All right, sweet. We still got we got time to finish this. Maybe, I don't know. We're getting close to the end. I felt like I had other things to do. This is how bad I am at the maintenance area that I forget even the types of maintenance I ought to be doing. I don't know. Yeah, like just stuff that I don't want to do. And I think like just kind of like taking care of health in general, dental hygiene, etc. And it's not like I'm hitting zeros on all of these. Like for all of these, there are efforts I'm making, but it's just kind of like low. Like mental health, I think I actually take care of pretty well. Like I see a therapist pretty frequently. Like I said, she's on mat leave right now, so instead we're doing this. But I think the fact that I have the capacity to do this, and that I'm hopefully going to get something out of it, and that I have this kind of like openness and capability to like discuss my life in this way, think about my life in this way, I think is a sign that I'm doing well for mental health. So like some of these are better or worse, you know. None of them I think are in the total pits, but all of them I think could use some improvement, and some probably desperately quite need some improvement. So like right now I would give this a 1. And this could go down to 0. It's not at 0, you know, like there is some stuff that I'm doing okay on for sure. I see the dentist, I see the doctor, I take my pills. But I think there's a lot of room for growth here. This is one where I probably should be trying to reinvest some effort. I don't know. The list of things I could be doing is very long. I don't think we need to do that. But the real question is, like, how? So, yeah, like, going down... I have been worse. We're gonna put... Not again. Not again. I've spent big chunks of my life at a 0 for this, for sure. And I am not willing to do that again. In terms of going up... Yeah, whatever. In terms of going up, I think I ought to. But how? Now, I do kind of have, like, a route to how, which is... The one thing that has been able to really help me sculpt my behavior and overcome, like, executive dysfunction and stuff is to set up, like, a daily system where there's certain things that I try to do every day, and then I check them off every day that I do them, and then I keep track of my overall success percentage on doing them, and I also give myself a gold star if I do all of my dailies for the day. And this has actually worked really, really well for me. I think this is like some sort of autism hack that has made me transfer my love of checking things off in a spreadsheet and watching numbers go up into a love for actually doing the things depicted in the spreadsheet. But I really don't want to push it. I think it's like a fragile arrangement where I've been doing this since May, I think, this year. And in that time, I've only added one column, one additional daily to do. And I feel like that is basically the maximal accepted rate of adding things to this. Now, I could remove something as well, but I think that also is kind of scary, and I don't want to because I want to keep doing all of those things. So I don't know. I don't really know if I can push that system further. But I think I should come up with some similar system. Maybe dailies is not necessary, but some sort of like weeklies or something for different like home chores. I don't know. I really got to think about this because I feel like there's some way I can kind of like hack my way into doing it. But right now, I think, as I said, the issue is that there's some like total number of stars, and I'm either at it or pretty close to it. So it's anything that I do, even if I come up with some sort of like ingenious hack that makes me want to do it, will inherently be kind of like taking time away from something else, I think. I think what it comes down to is not just coming up with some sort of spreadsheet or something that makes me do it, but giving myself the space to do it without feeling like it's going to encroach in something else. Oh, sleep goes in here, by the way. I've always been quite a good sleeper, despite all of the other shit I've gone through in my life and periods of extremely poor health and stuff. I've always managed to kind of like get sleep going. It's only been really recently, like in the last couple of years in my 30s, that I think it's just like age and a lot of toil that I've put on my body catching up with me. And only recently it's been like, oh, I had a good sleep last night, and that's like notable. and I wasn't woken up by heartburn, although I've mostly got that under control these days, or muscle spasm, or cramp, or just general soreness kept me up. So it's the fact that like sleep feels a little perilous is really scary to me. I definitely want to get ahead of that. So I think this one, it needs to go up. Basically what I'm saying is that this one needs to go up. And I think this has been the big thing that this exercise like revealed to me, is that I started thinking about how can I make hobbies go up and unlock this space. But then when I really started digging into it, I realized this is the one that actually has to go up. Cuz like, like I'm happy these days, and I really, for the first time in my life, want to have a long and fulfilling life. Not to sound too dramatic, but it's really become something relevant in my mind that I'm like, I want to live for a long time and be able to do things I enjoy into my 50s, into my 60s, into my 70s. And this is what's going to get me there. Like, this is important. It's not important in your 20s. We can try to act like it is. We can try to say, "Oh, well, you got to build good habits in your 20s." But like, it's so hard to really believe that it is, that I think it's fine to start in your 30s. But then you got to start. But then you actually got to start. And I really got to start. So I think, yeah, the how is some combo of spreadsheet hacking, which I'm gonna call it, for lack of a better term, a weekly system. I think is worth considering to try to replicate the success of the dailies chart, but for larger tasks that I don't have to do that frequently, even a monthlies maybe. And then also freeing up energy from somewhere. Because, like, so far, here I said down no. Here I said down no. Here I said it would probably be too stressful, but maybe. But really, I kind of want it to go up. Here I said down no. And here I said, like, down, it might happen eventually naturally, but I don't really want to do it. Okay, but then there is the final category, and this is the one that's gonna get basically put through the ringer and hopefully sacrificed on the altar of everything else, which is Vice. And this is kind of just like the opposite of maintenance, insofar as it's stuff I want to do a lot, but it's bad for me. It has some long-term negative outcome, but in the moment I really enjoy it. And to me, that is the difference between Vice and hobby. Hobbies, maybe financially, some of them are bad for me in the long term. But it's a combo of, like, I'm really enjoying it while I'm doing it, or I'm enjoying it to whatever extent while I'm doing it, and then afterwards I'm, like, satisfied and proud of whatever result I achieved. Maintenance is, like, I don't want to do it, I don't really enjoy it in the moment, to varying extents, but that's kind of, like, the qualifier. And then afterwards, it's not really so much like I'm proud of it, but it has some good effects on my life. And Vice is like, I really want to do it, and I enjoy it while I'm doing it, or it gives me some sort of very strong emotion. But then after, I'm filled with shame because it had some sort of bad outcome. So it's like a long litany list of things you can put here. Obviously, there's a lot you can think of, I'm sure. A lot that I've done throughout my life to greater or lesser extents. But these days, the big three are, like, vaping weed, which I don't do very often. I would say it ranges from, like, a once-a-week thing to maybe a once-every-2 weeks thing, depending on just kind of what other stuff I got going on. And I don't think vaping weed in and of itself is bad for me. Or I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe that's like the stupidest thing I've ever said. But I'm not convinced that I'm getting like lung cancer or anything. I think the amount that I do and stuff, it's probably not that bad. It's more just that when I do it, I don't really end up doing anything else. I'm not really a South Park fan, but they were spitting in that episode where they said the big scary thing about weed is that it makes you okay with feeling bored, and when you're bored is when you should be pushing yourself. That's some real shit right there. And it's like, yeah, I definitely do some hobbies afterwards, and they're enjoyable in kind of like new and interesting ways, which is cool. But generally speaking, I don't really do much. And if there's any positive that comes of it, it's that afterwards I feel ashamed that I wasted so much time, and then I work hard to kind of like make up for that. But the other major problem with vaping weed is that it coincides with the second one, which is binge eating, which I do pretty much every time that I vape weed. And then also just all sorts of other times for like, if I'm stressed, if I'm happy. You ever see the treat horseshoe theory? Where on one extreme is like, I'm so miserable, I deserve a treat. And then on the other extreme is, I'm so happy, I'm going to celebrate with a treat. That's so freaking real. But then I also have the horrible completion of the triangle, which is like, I'm bored, I'm going to eat. So yeah, I definitely eat way too much. I'm overweight. I think it's causing a lot of other health problems. Nothing too serious, knock on wood. But definitely is like degrading my quality of life in, I don't know, just being able to like walk long distances is harder for me now. I think a lot of my aches and pains are downstream from it. Definitely made my heartburn a lot worse. I ended up having to take a PPI, but I think that was mostly because I was overweight. So yeah, this one I really gotta like cut back on it hardcore. And then number one is arguing online. Or just in general consuming internet content that fills me with strong feelings of rage and self-righteousness. This is mostly going on Twitter. Going on Twitter just every single time fills me with this feeling. But also going on various other websites. And basically, like, I would in the end rather be like watching anime or reading something, learning something, whatever. But the feeling of feeling smarter than people, articulating why they're stupid, on a wide range of topics from politics to anime to Magic the Gathering. It's like so addictive, and it's such a powerful feeling. Like if I'm stressed about work, which doesn't happen too often, like I said, but everybody gets stressed sometimes, and I want to trump that feeling and stop feeling stressed about work, I can just look at Twitter and get like so upset about the state of the world. My timer's about to go off. It's so quiet. Can you even hear this? Can I maxed out the volume. It's not any louder. I don't understand it. This is such a useless timer. It only works if I'm like paying attention to the timer the whole time. I think if that went off and I was in the middle of ranting about something, I just wouldn't notice. Anyways, my friend is gonna be here soon. I'm just gonna go down and meet her, so we're gonna pause the recording. See you in a bit. Alright, we're back. I got the thing from my friend. Excellent. It's Pokemon cards. You'll see that later. So yeah, I think it's like, these are the big three, and I'd say really, like, in terms of the effort it takes, binge eating, which to me is like very, very broad, but I would also include like going out of my way to go get food that I'm really, really craving as part of this. And I put a lot of effort into that. And then arguing online, I put an embarrassing amount of effort into. I would give this 3. So to me, it's like the amount of space in my brain for my hobbies, which represent all of my passions and interests and stuff, and my beloved boyfriend, whom I adore, and arguing on Twitter and going out to eat stuff and stuff like that. Those are all equivalent. I think they all occupy about the same. Now, I don't really want to increase this. I think that's pretty clear. And again, this is something that has been way, 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 way higher in the past. This has been at 5 stars for big chunks of my life, and we don't really need to get into that. But in terms of lowering it, it's an interesting question, because some is good. I think some amount of vice is necessary in my life. I think that I need some sort of like more kind of carnal pleasure, things that I'm doing just because I viscerally enjoy it, that I intensely enjoy it, that it helps me emotionally regulate, that it's something that like reliably gets me in or out of whatever mood, that I don't need to put like thought into, that I don't need to kind of judge whether or not a given thing is going to hit for me or work for me, that I have these avenues to just kind of like reliable pleasure. I think that's important. And moreover, with like the arguing online and stuff, like I do get something out of that. I don't want to just quit that cold turkey. I've tried before, and I miss feeling like informed. Of course, 90% of what I'm hearing about is garbage and bullshit, but the other 10% is like really important things about the state of the world that otherwise I might not be as up to date on. And I think that's kind of important, even if I don't really act based on that. Back in the hobby section, we can talk about like volunteering and getting politically organized and stuff. That's so far that I think is an example of like over here. And I wish it was like over here, but really it's like it takes a lot of effort, and so far it's always kind of just felt disappointing to me in one way or another. But if I'm not informed, if I don't understand what it is that I want to happen, if I don't want to see a particular change in the world, then how can I be it? And I think it gives me like a lot of confidence in my intelligence and in my ability to articulate things and have strong opinions and work things out for myself, to put myself in these arenas, for lack of a better word, and argue with people, or at least read arguments and form my own opinions in my mind. So it's like, yeah, like some is good. Some is good. And it's not like I want to lose interest in food. I love food on so many different levels. I love food. The carnal joy I get out of eating is the foundation of all of that. I don't think I could just be like intellectually interested. And I don't know, like vaping weed is fun too. And I think it's good that sometimes I kind of basically force myself to take a night off of everything. That, it's like, oh, well, I could be doing these chores, these maintenance tasks. I could be working on various hobbies. But sometimes you want to just watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos about food while eating a bag of chips. And let me tell you, that really hits the spot. And I think it's good to have days that are like that, because then you don't get burnt out. Then you don't feel overwhelmed. Then you're not just constantly go. So it's like some amount is good, but it's like I want to really kind of get the most bang for my buck on these things and do them when they're gonna have like maximum enjoyment or when there's like a maximal need for it, and not just kind of like whenever there's an opportunity, like I want it to be kind of like medicine that I take because it will help me because I need it in that moment, rather than just like candy that I'm continually eating because it's there and it's pleasurable. And I don't know. How do I make it medicinal instead of candy? Is the question. How do I use Vice as a tool to enable me to do more? And in doing so, I think the goal is to cut this down to like a 1. like the easiest move I want to make is just being able to do this. If I could find a way to do this, I think that's like the simplest and most unabashedly good move that I can make in this whole stats distribution project. And I think there is a way to do that, because I think there are people that, the endorphins of exercise, the meditative practice. I dropped a pencil. The meditative process of cleaning, the joy of discipline, of keeping yourself in check. I don't know. The joy of a good night's sleep. I certainly know that one. It's like you can get this sort of emotional regulation and kind of prevention of burnout and all of those things from stuff that I currently would put under the maintenance category. It's just like a perspective shift or something. I don't know how to do that. So like, how do I make maintenance feel like Vice? In terms of something I love in the moment that will reliably change my mood and break me out of stuff. There's a lot more than just these 3, obviously. There's stuff that overlaps with other categories that kind of has an element of Vice in it. But, yeah, I don't know. That's a big open question. How do I do that? Okay, so let's see where we're at right now. So 108, that's a good number. Work 2, relationship 3, activities 5, maintenance 1, Vice 3. I forgot hobbies. Okay. So in total, this is 8, 13, 14, 17. 17 points total. Okay. So if we could like freely reallocate, how would I like to see this? Maybe like work. It's tough. Okay. If it was like totally blank slate and I was just freely rewriting my life, I think the goal would be like work 2 still, but like more money. Yeah, this is like the goal. And then we can talk about like transitional states. So work is still 2. Relationship is 5. Hobbies is 4. Activities is 4. Maintenance is 3. And Vice is 1. And this adds up to 7, 11, 15, 18, 19. Right, okay. This feels so psychotic. So that's 18, right? 12, 14, yeah. Maybe... Oops. Ah! Okay. Well, we'll give ourselves 1 extra point. So this is current. Ideal. Actually, yeah, what am I saying? Okay, this is ideal. This is ideal. Work 1. Relationship 4. Because I think 5 would be like, I don't know, like a death in the family. On top of like other stuff. No, I mean, I think it should still be 5. I wanna, to me that's like a full life together. And then hobbies 4, activities 4, maintenance 3, vice 1. So that's 6, 10, 17, 18. I'll say ideally we can go up to 18 points total. Man, I really want hobbies at a 5 though. Maybe activities goes down to 3. Okay, whatever. This is just broadly. Okay, so transitional. What can we actually do to try to go from here to here? I honestly think it's like work. Like work has to go up to like 3. Because I need to find a better job so that I have more money to do other stuff. Then relationship can stay at 3. Hobbies, I want to go to like 4. Activities, 4. Maintenance, 2. Just bump up, and like vice, 2. Something like this. So that's 18 as well. So like work going up, like make a serious effort. Job hunt, I think is what that looks like. And then maybe this is one we can spreadsheet hack too, like a weekly system of working on a bigger project. I think the weekly spreadsheet has potential. We're gonna try it. And then activities, maybe just in winter this will happen anyways. Maybe. And then this is also a weekly spreadsheet. And this is like, I gotta sign out of Twitter on my phone again. For sure. And then, man, I don't know. This is a tough one. How the fuck do I eat less? Zempi? Is it time for a Zempi? I mean, that's what it's for. Well, not really. It's for diabetes, but that's what it's for now. What else can I do? Like, all I want to do is just maybe signing out of my. Maybe I just gotta sign out of. Maybe it's like I can go on Twitter like once every 3 days, or maybe like a certain time period each day I'm allowed to look at Twitter and Reddit, and then the rest of the day no, and I just like put it in my calendar, Twitter time, and if I miss it, gotta wait until tomorrow, something like that. I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't know. It's life, man. Life's tough. maybe this... What does this look like? It's like a big effort up front. Because I do kind of know, like, what I gotta do. Right now I'm just using general purpose resume, which is no good. And I'm not doing much individualization for... I'm doing zero individualization for each application, which is also bad. So what I need to do is... 1, make resumes for each of the job titles I can apply to. I'm going to write this down, even though it's... Because I know in my head, but I think if I write it down, it'll feel more doable. Make resumes for each job title. 2. So right now, on my dailies spreadsheet aforementioned, I just do 1 application per day. And again, it's like gradient descent into something that feels like I'm making progress, but is the easiest way to feel like I'm making progress. So it should be like spend more than 5 min per application. Still aiming for like 1 a day. Because the thing is, I don't want to push too hard into this and then burn out and then like hate it. Right now, it's like not that bad. The just doing 1 per day, which is why it's working. And I have like a 80% hit rate, I think, on that daily task. So it's like I don't want to push this too far, but I think it's more like I gotta do upfront effort. And then, like, make list of companies where friends work. Sign up for job alerts for all of those. Sign up for job alerts for dream companies. And I think it's, like, most of this is, like, upfront effort. This is, like, a change in process. But most of this stuff is just like upfront effort that I gotta set aside a day to just do that. And then that'll just like level up my success rate without that much more day-to-day effort. Like a little more day-to-day effort. Like I think this, again, like right now it's kind of like I just get it done as quickly as possible so I can check it off onto the next one. But I think if I just like started a timer and was like, okay, this is the one I'm doing today. I'm going to start a 5-minute timer. And in that time, I have to do company research and then resume tailoring. I think that would up my success rate quite a bit. And it's just 5 minutes, you know? Like, I'm not going to miss that time. So given that, like, this might not even... This might actually still be like 2. I can't backspace there, right? This might actually be 2, and then it's 17 points total. So I've like bought into this system that I just made up so much, and I'm like, oh good, it's 17 points total. That means it's doable, it's easy. But I don't know, I kind of like this system. I think I'm kind of like cooking here. I think this is like not a bad way to think about it. And then I liked doing it in paint.net because now I just have this like image. So yeah, okay, let's brainstorm a little bit on the weekly spreadsheet while we're here. So the daily spreadsheet, actually, let's just switch gears. I'll show you it. I got it open. This is the daily spreadsheet. So kanji practice, we're hitting 100% because I don't want to break my streak, and it only takes like 15 minutes per day. I usually do it right when I wake up. This is taking psyllium fiber. We've got a 96.96.96.96.97% hit rate there. I think I've only missed like 3 days. This was one that at the start, I didn't think I'd be able to get into the habit of doing it because I didn't enjoy it at the start. But then I really got into the habit of doing it, and now I actually enjoy it. So I think we can maybe remove this one. But it is nice to have the high hit rate ones. This is daily games, playing Minute Cryptic and Connections and Food Guesser. and a few other ones every day. I think this is like, I want to do it, but I sometimes forget to do it. So this is a way to remember to do it. And I think it is also good for me. Like, I think it's good daily mental stimulus. So I want to like reward myself for doing it. This again, only a couple times I just totally plumb forgot and then missed it. So even the daily system has its limitations. Walking 5K steps. We got a 71% hit rate there. Pretty good. You can see usually if there's a no, it's followed by a yes, which is good. I feel a little shame in putting in the no. This was a double no. So at least the day after I make an effort. This was a bad streak. Maybe I was sick or something. I don't remember what was going on here. But yeah, this works out pretty well. YouTube Short, definitely the lowest success rate. Dude, I thought job application was way higher. Oh my god. But some days I do more than once, so kind of balances out. Same with the anime episode. Not a great hit rate, but way better than before I had this system. And then YouTube Short, lowest hit rate. Not surprising, this is like the most effort of all of these. And yeah, it's like... But I only publish the shorts one every 2 days. So really the goal is to have like a 50% hit rate here. But yeah. And then this is the 100% hit rate. Paltry sub-quarter of the time. Need to work on that. But yeah, I've really been enjoying this. This has really helped me a lot, I think. Like, these numbers aren't amazing across the board, but they're way higher than they would be otherwise. And it's a lot of stuff that it's better for me to be doing it every day, even if I'm just hitting this bare minimum, than trying to just do as much of it as possible whenever I'm in the mood, you know? It's way more reliable and way more enjoyable to do it every day. Okay, so let's try to make a new spreadsheet here called monthlies. Okay, so monthlies or weekly? Let's do weeklies. Vacuum. Yeah, that's a good one. Exercise, where that means some sort of activity at the gym or like a long walk or something. I don't know. This is just the first draft. I'm just going to try to get down ideas. I want to put like big artistic projects. Making some progress on like writing something. But like I don't really know exactly. I have like a lot of different ideas. I don't know, like movie? I watch a lot of movies, but I pretty much only watch movies in theaters. And there's like a whole huge list of stuff that I want to get to. That I don't know, and this might. Well, it's worth thinking about. I'll come back to this. I don't know. Maybe this is good. Been talking for an hour and a half now. Really, no idea how long this is gonna take. But I think if I was I would have bet around this length. Maybe we'll just call it here. What do you guys think? Does this seem like an interesting exercise? The life stats exercise? Are these good categories? Give it a try. Post your spread. Post your stats spread. See how many points you get. The points don't really mean anything. They're just meant to be like relative to each other, right? That it feels like I'm putting 3 times as much into Vice as I am into maintenance. So I don't know. It's going to be a different frame of reference for everybody, and I think everybody has different levels of executive agency and energy and stuff too. That I don't know. Like maybe your total points are different. Maybe you're just like five, 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 five. That was more than one. There's a bonus category for some of you, I guess. All right. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Goodbye.